Do sex toys belong in the mainstream? So this is a topic that I want to explore today because I've noticed a bit of a trend at the moment. Here in Australia, I have just seen two really well-known mainstream brands start to stock sex toys. And even also too, there is a huge billboard on one of the main highways in the inner west in Sydney advertising a sex toy with a celebrity. So I kind of feel like post-pandemic, we're all looking for a little bit more pleasure in our lives. We're all looking for a little bit more of escape. And even on my own sex toy website, I have noticed that sales are really increasing. But even around us, we're seeing this push and this emergence of female sexual pleasure, but specifically adult products. I got asked the other day about my thoughts on this, and I feel that I was very pro-sex toys in the mainstream. You know, we're talking about these brands now stocking intimate health products. That's one of the words that people use when they don't want to say the word sex toys. And I was very for it. And there was a part of me though, I was thinking, was it too positive? And do they really belong in the mainstream? Because from one perspective, I look at it and think, well, it's great that we are normalizing these things. They are bits of plastic and glass, and some of them have motors in them, and they're really not harmful products at all. You know, we're a society that glorifies violence and murder, but when it comes to sex and nudity, everybody freaks out because, God forbid, a kid might see it and might be robbed of their innocence because they know what sex is. I think that we need to be getting back to the basics and having a lot more thorough and adequate conversations with children about what sex is, because if we did, then we wouldn't see them go searching on the internet, looking up porn, because a large part of teens and young kids that are searching for pornography or pornographic images online are just doing it out of curiosity because they want to know what sex is all about. So, ergo, that was a long way to get to my point. Sex toys are not going to rob children of their innocence if they see them or they even find out what they do. But I think the fear is associated with this idea of then having to explain to, say, a kid if they do find it. You're at a shopping centre and you're going past a lingerie shop, or you go into the lingerie shop and there's all these vibrators, and little Johnny goes, "Hey Mum, what's that for?" And you think, oh crap, I've got to explain this to them. So I get the fact that there is this awkward element, and we don't want to be necessarily explaining sex toys to a really small child, but at the same time, if they do happen to see them and ask what they are, it's in no way, shape or form going to rob them of their innocence. But there is another side to this. So whilst I'm very positive and optimistic that we are putting these products in the mainstream and we're starting to buy them like any other health product, there's also this idea that it's a bit of a trend or nearly an attention grabbing thing from certain brands. And this is where, being a sexologist, I'm very sensitive to this idea of sex sells, because a lot of brands and a lot of people will attach to sex maybe, the subject of sex, and use that for either brand awareness or to get some noise, and often they're not doing it in a healthy manner necessarily. If we are going to be stocking sex toys in the mainstream, I think we really need to have a look at, if it is being attached to a brand or a store, what is that brand or store's target demographic and who's going to be seeing them? And does it make sense? Is this a organic relationship where you would think, yeah, okay, I can buy my feminine hygiene wash, which I am not in favor of, as well as my Kegel balls and a clitoral vibrator and my favorite lubricant. So I think that we have to have this balance that, yes, it is great that we are normalizing these products and putting them out there in the mainstream and saying, hey, there's nothing wrong with these things. They cause pleasure. They encourage people to take ownership of their sexuality. No one gets pregnant, no one gets an STI, as long as you're using the toy correctly. We need to not be so fearful of them and embrace them, but we also need to place them in the mainstream in a manner that makes sense and feels safe and isn't so offensive to the mass population. But just a little warning, if you are getting offended by sex toys or freaking out about them, ask yourself why. We are a fear-based society when it comes to sex, and sex toys seems to be, still considered very taboo by a lot of people, but I have views otherwise. Thank you so much for tuning in to this kind of little blog rant. this week. If you want to stay tuned onto all these amazing posts that I do, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And speaking of sex toys, if you do want to have a play and see what is out there on offer, make sure that you check out drnikkishop.com.au. Bye.